I actually had 2 shows on the Pulse, which was my music show, and then had to can it because I'm actually pregnant. So this is the first public announcement. I'm not even on Facebook public, so there you go, everyone.
Another plus for the Sustainable Hour.
So I'm due in January, and this presents a whole new set of climate change problems, issues and solutions to me now. So we're not buying anything new. So that's pretty exciting. My partner's like, why are you buying all this stuff? It's the nesting phase at the moment.
Yeah.
Well and truly in that phase. But yeah, buying everything secondhand or getting hand-me-downs, definitely focused on how to spread this message through the planet and try and protect what we've got. And I think actually thinking on that farmer clip,
it really hurts to see our leaders and the people who purport to represent agricultural interests not mention the word climate change. It's the elephant in the room and they are not addressing the issue. We hope there's new leaders that will come through with new ideas, with modern thinking that will tackle this climate change. I mean, we have to be the leaders in the world on this. We can't be the laggards, which we've been.
And thinking about the surf coast and what we're doing to our population growth in the area, encroaching on the farmland and the agricultural land. And then there's this other sentiment from the farmers that are in the wind farm area, which is actually in planning at the moment and is coming up against a lot of backlash from the farmers who don't want to be in a property near a wind farm. I'm like, maybe I should buy one of those farms. And you know, and what are they thinking about to their children? How are they talking to their children about their decision to block this future in renewables? And I'd be really excited to own a farm that was both producing food and power. That would be
green
amazing.
Power. Yeah.
And I feel like maybe there's something getting lost in the messaging, and that's coming from government, corporation. It was from a real estate agent. That was their expert. It's like, so, and the way that they viewed it in the paper anyway, and this is the Surf Coast Times, or was it the Echo, was I asked a real estate agent, what would it do to my property value? And the real estate agent said, would you buy next to a wind farm? And that was the full, like, you know, that was the definitive answer, that it would reduce property value. I don't know. I think maybe we've got it mixed up.
You know what I would have replied? Do you know farmers that put up wind turbines next to their own farms in Denmark, they are happy about that because it's standing there.
Progress.
Every time it turns, it brings in a Danish kroner. We don't have dollars in Denmark, we have kroner. So it brings in a kroner every time it turns, you know. Yeah. And that's a beautiful thing.
Yeah, the farmers would get paid for that, for the right to produce that power on their land. So I just feel like something's getting lost in the mix, and this is the old ideology, and it's somehow permeating through, and I'm like, when is this going to lead on to the next phase?
But hey, what's wrong with the press? Honestly, I got a little bit upset because we have a local newspaper here, the Geelong Advertiser. So the Geelong Advertiser goes out and makes a poll.
I think they're all owned by the same group, to be fair.
Well, you know, we're discussing locally here in Geelong whether to have some new safe bike lanes up on High Street in Belmont. Now, the Liberals are standing in the paper and saying, no, we don't want that. We are opposing that. And they have made a petition. They have collected 2,000 signatures that they don't want bike paths. Or if there are to be any bike paths, because they say, we're not against bike paths, just don't build them here.
Right.
You know?
Yeah, that's pretty much what the farmer said as well. Not against renewable energy, just don't build it near me.
No, but here's the shocking thing about the press. So the Geelong Advertiser then runs a poll. It asks about 750 local residents here about whether to have these bike paths built. Out of those, about 250 of them, actually exactly 256 of them, reply that they think we should leave it as it is. You know, we should do nothing. Okay, so that's 250 out of 750. In my maths, that's a third. That's not a majority or anything. That's a third. Now here's the headline that Geelong Advertiser then writes as a result. Paul calls for bicycle project to be shelved. What? That's not what the poll did. But that's media manipulation. So they take a poll. You have to read through the whole article to find the figures, and then you have to do the maths yourself.
But
and then
who
you
are they
figure out,
working with? That's
what kind of. I think it's disrespectful to the readers, honestly. So, and then there's a quote high up in the article saying, traders, cyclists, and the community don't want bike paths in High Street. Okay, who says? When 2/3 had just told Geelong Advertiser in a poll that they want change. 2/3.
Yeah.
That's a majority in a democracy. It gets me fired up and angry about the press. And my next question is, this useless press that we're seeing here, we can't fire them, but can we make an alternative?
Or can we get them to embrace a new messaging somehow? And I think there is room for that, and the community groups are really good at that, and maybe could get a little bit more support. I know I'm also on the board for Torquay Commerce and Tourism Committee, which has a lot of support from the Surf Coast Times, which is amazing. So maybe it's about partnering with these channels a little bit more and working with them to have a media release, that goes out, that sends our message rather than the other message that's coming through. I'm not sure whether there's a changing of guard that needs to happen for that. Maybe we need more people to study journalism that are into this sort of thing and get into these roles. Maybe that's where the agenda is coming from, or maybe it's coming from something else. I don't know. There's all these back end levers which are being pulled or shifted, and it's hard to keep track.
Why I mentioned High Street, the drama in High Street at the moment, because it's a symbol. It's a symbol of a discussion which I think is completely off the track, because there's not a single person in that discussion who mentions climate change, and that cycling is actually very, very climate friendly, and that we do have an issue with the climate.
Well, everything's very short-sighted. That's the whole problem. I think that.
But this is my problem with the business world. Yeah. So these people, traders in this street, are saying, "Well, we can't have cycling. People have to park and so on." They disregard, the future for the child in your stomach.
Yeah.
Because of their,
they maybe won't be able to go outside because it's that polluted, or there's that much topsoil flying around the air.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, there's kids today that won't be able to go outside.
Yeah.
So
significant.
Maxine, what I hope that you could teach me a little bit about with your background of having worked and being in business.
Yes.
Is how are we to understand the business world? Because to me, and I'll say it frankly, to me it's a little bit like the fight good against evil. How do we make some changes in this space?
I think it's not a question of good or evil. It's probably more about agendas and pressures. And in business, there's a lot of pressure. And sometimes that's all about, because we're structured in a profit-driven, growth-driven economy, that's our society, we're built on it, there's this conflict between doing the right thing and obviously surviving. So it's like, do you either check out completely from it and then do what's right, or do you, be a little bit of a capitalist but try and be responsible? And that's kind of where I'm kind of sitting, because I know how I want to live, but I also know what the restrictions are within our society. So at the moment, I've had to put my business on the back burner because I found out I was pregnant. I looked at my bank account. I said, right, okay, I need to get ahead a little bit before I don't work. And I don't want to work for a company full-time because it's just not... I don't think it's the right thing to do for me. And I don't feel like I'm making a difference. And commuting is a stupid idea. And, there's a million reasons. And well-being is really important to me. Living in Torquay, I want to enjoy where I live. So there's a million reasons that are selfish, but also they're good because it means that I'm not driving and polluting the planet. If I'm commuting to work, that's what I'm doing. So anyway, I took a corporate full-time contract role in a big multi-billion-dollar company. So I'm working for Target at the moment in a contract role in my field, which is recruitment. And it is really exciting because they are, even though that's not their agenda, it makes sense for them to have a sustainable supply chain, to have an ethical sourcing strategy. Everything that we're actually talking about that's important to us, and of course there are companies in the Wesfarmers Group that maybe don't fit with what our ethos is, but they are thinking about things that we're thinking about. And they know, the risks, they know the risks of climate change, they know the risks, and they think very far in the future. So, yeah, and it's a shame about the Coles bag flip, but, they are thinking about these things. But in the end, their priority is the shareholder. So it's about finding that balance of, yes, we think we can see them as the bad guy and the good guy. I'm the good guy, but I'm in the bad guy. So how does that work? Like, what's the conflict there? It's, well, we need to reconcile. And that's the reality, is that these big companies, they are thinking about the same things that we're thinking about, but it's more around business as usual and improving business. So, yeah, I like to think that there's some changes happening in the corporate level. But, yeah, we've got a long way to go. And I think driving governments to make more choices around this and to change levers and policies, and how do we get that to happen? This is where community groups come in, and this is why I'm involved with SCEG and TCT, both very different but both equally important. And my business will continue on, and hopefully I can help more businesses do recruitment in a sustainable way, look at how to look after their staff so people are well, so that they can think about the environment and, spread other messages. And I think it's all connected. But I don't see them as the bad guys. I understand that there's bad agendas, but I think in the end people just want to succeed.
Yeah, I think as you say, there's a transition there, and it needs to hurry up a bit, I guess. But if bottom line is, if there's no planet, if there's a planet in turmoil, it's not real good for business.
Thank you very much for that comment, because this is the thing. Here in Australia, everyone's, 80 to 90% are actually with it. They get it. And they know that we are in trouble and we need to do something. They're ready to do that too. But everyone thinks nobody else thinks that way.
Victorians think that less than half of the population is concerned about climate change. But in fact, research shows that it's actually 4 out of 5 of us who are concerned about climate change and how it will affect future generations. As for our youth, concern is even higher. 15 to 17-year-olds ranked climate change as the second most important issue. Across the state, climate change is seen as an issue that needs urgent attention, and most of us want to see more being done.
Which is completely inaccurate.
And this is what we're caught into. That's why we need to change the story.
Yeah.
And we need to take over the story in a way. Starting with what we're doing here with grassroots media, and then, knocking on the door on the bigger media, especially the public broadcasters.
Yep.
And it's great to see that that's actually beginning to happen.
Yeah, actually, last night I was watching Tonightly with Tom Ballard and on ABC Comedy, and they were commenting on Barnaby Joyce's comment about Kmart shoppers not caring about the environment. So they took that to Kmart and stood out the front of one of the stores and asked in a Vox Pop style interview. And of course, everyone had comments on, yes, of course, I care about the environment. Are you kidding? What is he saying? Kmart shoppers don't care about the environment. It was quite a funny little clip there if you want to check that out.
As a human living on the earth, yeah, we do.
Well, I care about it a lot, which is more than what I could say for him. He has no idea about any Kmart shopper. He probably hasn't even been into Kmart in his life.
Yeah, that's right, Barnaby Joyce.
Yeah.
But definitely, the conversation, you ask the question, it is on everyone's minds.
Exactly.
How could it not be?
And that's the good story. And we need to keep telling that, just like Michael told us here. Maxine Bazeley, thank you very much for coming,
Absolute
both of
pleasure.
you.
Yes, thank you. It's a first, baby's first appearance. It's going to be a girl. And if everyone wants any more information on my business, my website is tealcollaborative.com.au, or you can look up my name. I'm on Facebook. I'm quite social on the medias.
For green, clean, sustainable Geelong. The Sustainable Hour.